And I'm joined by Krista Makes of Less Than Jake. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I'd like to truly tell you that I'm on a beach in Florida right now, but I'm not. Freezing my ass off in Tennessee.
Don't spoil the illusion, man. People won't know.
Should I take my shirt off and get a coconut rum drink or something?
Yeah, get a cocktail and a coconut. You saw it. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the pressure's on with me today, mate, because obviously you run your own podcast as well. So I've got to do a good interview today. So
Oh, okay, it's on you. I can just sit here and act silly. All right.
absolutely, man. Absolutely. You just guys just released a couple of weeks ago now on the Uncharted EP from Less Than Jake came out 15th of November. It was a great EP, great release, exactly what you want in an EP. I think an EP needs to pack a punch and then kind of, there's not, and this one absolutely does from beginning to end. It's relentless energy. Did you approach this in any way in terms of, was there ever going to be an album, or was it just did you solely go in mind with an EP release on this junction?
I don't think we really knew. We came out of pandemic. We were one of the earlier bands to start touring out of that. We had late 2021. We went out on a run with Newfound Glory, and then it seemed like as soon as the calendar hit January 1st of 22, everyone was up and running and trying to make up for lost time on the road and see how things felt out there, and would the fans come back, and there was all these questions. And we were out there for a while, just kind of getting our footing like everybody else was. And during the time we were accumulating songs, but even till the very end, as we were recording them, I don't think we really knew. I think we were going to maybe dole them out as singles, as we ended up doing. But then the idea came, hey, well, what if we release a couple 7 inches? And if you take the 7 inches and you fold them, they make the album cover with the map. And I want to say that was Roger's idea. And from there it was like, okay, well, we have enough songs for an EP. It's not really a full album, so we'll release them all as once, and we'll have a couple songs at the end that we tack on that we haven't released to push the final thing. So it's worked out pretty well. I don't know if the best route we've went back and forth, is it EPs, albums, is it singles? And
Yeah.
back in the day, we just get together and record a song and press a 7 inch out of it or something, and that would be a release. And I don't know. I think we're kind of getting back on that mind frame a little bit. A lot of bands are doing that too, where they're just kind of surprising their fans with stuff. So it keeps it exciting for them, and I think for us.
Nice one, man. It sounds like the writing process was quite quick if you're going the mind with a single kind of scenario and end up with an EP.
Kind of. There was a couple of the songs we had actually tracked at Rogers, and we sat on them for like a year. Well, we just had the music to them. And we recorded everything. I think Sunnyside and Broken Words were the two that we had demoed. That would have been in 2022.
Okay.
And we sat on them, and we would listen to them, and the melody wasn't right in Sunnyside and the verses, and the tempos were off. We felt like, man, they need to be a little bit peppier. So that's when we went and rethought it and wanted to retract them, which I didn't even think that those two songs were going to be part of the recording, because we had all written a bunch of other songs that we have as well. But Roger was pretty adamant about both of those songs. Actually, it's like, no, I believe in these. I want to push forward with them, and we did.
Yeah, nice one. Was it those two songs in particular that kind of set up, once you changed that energy about them, that set up the kind of catalyst for the rest of the EP, do you think? Or
I think so. I think it again, we were on the road, and I would love to think that we could be that band that has a little studio set up in the back lounge, and or we could get motivated to bring it into the venue and set it up. And it's just, we've never been that band on the road. Yeah, we all write on the road. We, have like an acoustic guitar laying around where we're always writing songs and recording voice memos and whatnot. But to actually be done with touring and say, hey, we want to, dedicate some time. Let's figure out what these songs are. Once we got our head wrapped around, okay, we're actually going to really do this and go record. And it definitely lit a fire, because we had such a good time. It had been a long time since we went anywhere to record outside of Gainesville. And
oh, wow, okay.
it was nice to get away. And, Roger will be the first to tell you, he enjoyed being able to be the bass player or vocalist in the band, the songwriter, and not have to labor over every decision. It knew that there was a team out at the blasting room in Colorado where we recorded, that was going to handle all the editing and handle all the stuff that Roger was just, mad scientist would obsess over, as you do as a engineer and a producer. So he was freed up from that, and it was a lot of laughs. We've known Bill Stevenson from Descendants for, gosh, how long now? 26, 27 years personally, and been a fan of him on top of that another maybe decade. So, you just pick right back up. It's like old schoolmates, you see each other and the jokes start, and Bill's a quirky character, but he's a genius. And just the combination of that, we were out in Colorado. It was beautiful. It was just awesome. I could go on and on about the experience, but yeah, I think you can feel that in the record too.
I was going to say, this is a really, it is a really fun record. It's a really an energetic record. It doesn't surprise me to hear that you guys were having a lot of laughs in the studio making it, and then that energy was in the room. So yeah, that doesn't, that does definitely feed into the EP. Is that how you guys work best, do you think, when you just, Roger can be a bit more relaxed with someone else holding that bit of the chains? And
Well, I think that we know that we can always record our band. We're fully capable of recording ourselves and producing our songs, but again, to have that extra set of ears, there was things that I'll labor over in the studio that Jason, the other producer, Jason Livermore, would just turn around in his chair and be like, "You think you're going to hear that guitar mistake? You think when drums and bass and vocals are over it?" He's like, it's part of the nuances here, where when you have your own home studio and you're constantly recording and you're looking at a grid, and you start to get into that mindset of, oh, I could chop that noise out, and that noise sometimes is the magic.
yeah, sometimes that sort of jagged tooth edge to it. That's that, especially the kind of music you guys do, which obviously has that punk rock edge to it.
Absolutely.
Fits in and gets with that vibe, I guess. It's with the album, with the release itself, you've just been over to Australia, and from what I saw on the socials, the shows out there looked insane. How was it for you guys out there?
It was great. We hadn't been there since 2017 was the last
Oh,
time we went. The last time we were there, it was with Real Big Fish. So
oh, nice.
yeah, so the two of our bands, it was just kind of explosive in this huge party, and we hadn't been there in a while, and we went down there, without any co-headliner like Real Big Fish. We had the Bennies and this other band that from Australia that had opened the shows, and we were doing the Hello Rockview record in full. So people came out in droves, as they have in the UK and the US for that album. So we're lucky in a sense that it was I think an anniversary tour, because we had a lot of people come out and say, "Oh my God, I hadn't seen you in forever," and that was great. So next time we'll hopefully come back with a co-headlining package and really ramp it up.
Nice. I mean, when you were recording those sort of albums, the albums you just mentioned, and albums like Anthems and everything else. I mean, that's where I first got into, in my sort of like sort of early 2000s teenage years and things. Were you aware of how much they were going to have a big impact on your career while you were making them?
Oh no. I mean, when you're young, 5 years seems like, you can't think past 5 years. So, especially Losing Streak and Hello Rockview days, it was like we were living in a van, and it was before these little devices. So you were kind of trapped in the four walls and whatever was in the cassette deck. I missed full sitcoms in the 90s. I had to go back and watch full seasons of Seinfeld. That I was in a van. I wasn't no, you don't. I think if anybody were to say that, I'd be awful pompous or egotistical to be like, "Oh yeah, we knew this was going to be a classic." Maybe Oasis would say something like that, but uh, nah, we were just writing songs. We were writing songs that we liked, that moved us. That if we didn't like it, we weren't going to release it, and that doesn't mean that we didn't record some duds along the way, or songs that might not have been as good as other stuff, but that's the roller coaster ride that you choose to do when you're in a band. And we're just lucky that people want to hear those songs. And there's been enough time now. I talk about it all the time in my podcast. There's been enough time now where there's memories attached to those songs. So it's like, oh, mate, the first time I was at uni, I met my fiance and we were listening to Anthem. And, enough time has gone by where it makes, there's something about nostalgia. And I've seen write-ups in papers, not very often, but as you get to be a band around 32 going on 33 years old, that they'll say stuff like, oh, they're a nostalgia act or this and that. It's like, bring it on. If nostalgia is going to bring people to see the band in 2025, I mean, when I think of nostalgia, I think of all the greats, from Metallica to the Stones to whoever. So yeah, put me in that category. Nostalgia's good.
I don't think there's wrong with nostalgia. Equally, you guys have, you continue to write in great albums and great releases. Uncharted is a fantastic release with the EP. You don't seem to have lost that kind of ethos that you were talking about earlier with the earlier records of just, first and foremost doing the songs for yourself and the rest of the, for yourselves and doing songs that you enjoy playing. And do you ever think about not trying to write in a certain way, but are you ever conscious of people's maybe expectations of you in these later albums and releases, or are you just solely still focused on what you guys do and what you do best?
Well, it's one of those things where, as I was kind of touching on a moment ago, and I'll say one more thing about that, is that we're lucky to have those records, to be a legacy band or a nostalgia band, to have the rock views and the anthems.
Yeah.
We probably wouldn't have to record anything else. We could probably just next 10, 15 years ride this out in the sunset, however long we're going to go, and keep playing these songs. So why are we making new music? Well, a number of reasons. The first reason is we still enjoy it.
Yeah.
And it's cool to be able to push on as a band, whether anybody else cares or not. We feel like we're about relevant to ourselves because we're pushing forward, and we have fun getting in the room and creating and seeing what's going to happen. And, for me, it's always like, who are we going to work with next? Who are we going to meet next? What idea is going to come next? And how can we expound on that and still make it sound like our band, but push the envelope of what people perceive.
Yeah, well, I'm really looking forward to hear these songs live, man. And you've already been announced to headline Slam Dunk Festival here in the UK next year, which is brilliant.
Yes. Yeah, we'll be on, I don't know if there's going to be any more shows. There was some talk of maybe us doing I don't know, a club show the night before for the fans or something for fan club, or I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I wasn't supposed to say that, but
I was going to say, well, that was one thing I was going to ask. Obviously, the only show that I could see for you guys was the Slam Dunk one, and yeah, I'll definitely be up for that. It's a great lineup this year, and it'd be great to see you guys. Let's see you guys live again and see these songs. But I did wonder if there was any sort of more, for want of a better term, a proper Less Than Jake show rather than the festival appearance.
Yeah, no, I haven't really heard of anything. There was talk of maybe taking the ferry over to Europe and doing some shows, but I don't think we're going to do that. I think we're just going to come over for the two slam dunks.
Nice. Well, it looks like it'll be one hell of a show. I'd say hearing this EP, it's everything we fans, and I've been a fan of you guys for a long time, so it's great to chat to you. But it's that energy, that buzz, that excitement that I got first time round as a teenager. It hasn't wavered when I chuck on Uncharted. From Broken
Cool.
Words, kicking off the release when I first listened to it. From the moment it kicks in, it's like, it's that feel good factor we were talking about earlier, and that's fed throughout all your releases. Since I first started getting into you, and doesn't seem to run dry from a songwriting point of view. I'm sure you've had your moments in the studio where you feel like it's started to run out, or maybe, but we have ups and downs as writers. I'm a bass player myself, so as a teenager when I first picked up, Roger was a massive influence on me. But I'm sure you've had moments where you've thought it wasn't going in the right direction for you, but from a listener's point of view and from a fan's point of view, it doesn't seem to have wavered.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, like I said, we're just, pushing on, and we write what feels good to us and what we like. And, at this point, if other people like it, that's all the better. And if they don't, I don't want to say, oh, screw them, I don't care. Yeah, you do care, but you have to make it for you first. You know, if you start to chase things and start to go for this sound and that sound, very rarely does it work out for us, for any other band. You know, it's you know you which is the old the old conundrum. If you don't change, oh, they're the same. They make the same album over and over again. But if you do change a little bit, oh, their old stuff's better. So it's definitely a balancing act.
Yeah, tricky one, I can imagine.
Sometimes, yeah.
And we touched upon it earlier. Your podcast that yourself, your Chris Makes podcast. Obviously songwriting we were talking about there, but that sort of feeds into your podcast itself because you have all these guests on who've created all these sort of world-class songs and everyone you've had some great guests along the thing, of course. But what made you want to do it as a kind of solely focusing on one song rather than, I mean, obviously from a marketing point of view, there's not, I don't know of any other things where it's just focuses on the songwriting element. Was that how other
Yeah,
people write songs? Is that
that
always
was
been of interest?
that was a conscious effort because there is a thing out there called Song Exploder where they break down songs. It's a podcast that's one of the biggest podcasts going for music. And no disrespect to that show, I listened to it and it didn't really move me because they don't talk to the artist.
Yeah.
I wanted to hear it from the artist, and I wanted to be able to pick brains as a songwriter and also an artist on the same side, where I've been in studios, I've been on the road, I've dealt with different band members and different personalities and all the things that go along with it. So I thought it would be cool to at least have a sit down with some people and see what comes of it. And then it just took off like wildfire, and here we are, going on 5 years. So I don't, it touched a nerve, struck a chord with a lot of people, and it's been a lot of fun for me. And I've learned a lot as a songwriter doing it because I am looking at it from, and I talk about this on the show. I use the word microscope. Like I'm picking through a song with a fine tooth comb, and by doing so, you're gonna you're gonna learn tricks, and you're gonna learn things.
Was that something that you were conscious of wanting to do in terms of learning from the podcast as well, or was it just something that happened sort of a bit more organically by talking to other
Yeah,
musicians?
just something that happened. It wasn't it wasn't like I set out, oh, I'm gonna learn a bunch of stuff. I didn't even think of that. It was just like, okay, I'm gonna do this. It happened to be during the pandemic. That wasn't the reason I started a podcast. There's a number of other reasons why, and why it was a songwriting podcast. I was doing at the time a lot of jingles for businesses.
Mm.
Was writing custom songs for people. So if you and your girlfriend if you wanted a song for your anniversary, you could write me and I'd write a song for you. And so my partner and co-host of the podcast said, well, you should start a podcast and base it around songwriting, and everything will feed back to the custom songs. And it actually went the other way. It fed into all these different
Yeah.
avenues that I never thought was possible. It's been great. Pretty much everywhere I go, fans are one of the first things out of their mouth. Besides Less Than Jake, is the podcast.
Yeah, it was a great listen, man. I'm one for listening to podcasts when I'm in the gym or wherever, and it's a regular listen for me. You've had some great guests like Fat Mike and Jacoby Shaddix and Mike Stilber and everyone else that's come in to the ranks. I mean, is there anybody left on your list that you from a kind of your all-time favorite song?
Oh yeah, I mean, any of them. I mean, I mentioned what was it, Rolling Stones a little bit ago. I mean, Keith Richards, Mick Jagger, Elton John, James Hetfield. Um, you name it. Any Jimmy Page, any of the, and a lot of it for me now is, and I've kind of been keeping these songs. It's kind of I don't mean to say this as like coming off as pompous, but it's a kind of a historical documentation of these songs from the songwriter. And a lot of these guys are passing away. In fact, in the last 5 years, we've written people that we tried to get on the show, or their publicists or managers, and those folks are no longer with us. So there's that component to it. Like, man, no one ever got the story about this from this guy. And I had David Paich, the keyboardist from Toto, and we broke down Africa, and that song's just massive. And the song's actually bigger today than it's ever been. It's licensed to businesses, it's to jingles, it's played at stadiums, and and I would ask him the same question. Did you ever think this song was going to be talking about it 40 years later? He's like, the song almost didn't make the record.
Wow.
So it's to me it's fascinating, and that's why I continue to want to talk to people, because every songwriter is different, and every episode I get something out of.
Did the songwriting within Less Than Jake change when Vinny left the band at all? Was there like how you guys approach stuff? Did that change at all?
Um, Only how we approach stuff from an idea point, if he would hand us some lyrics.
Yeah.
Roger and I would, on the early days, we would all jam together, but as we progressed, even around Hello Rockview, we were starting to demo alone, drum machines and things, and we get everything kind of set up, and vocal melodies and whatnot, and there might be a throwaway lyric. We'd be
Yeah.
be singing about our car or something for a chorus, just to have something like a placeholder. But certainly losing a primary lyricist is never a fun thing, probably for any band. I could never write in his style.
Yeah.
Neither could anybody in the band. He had a very different way of professing himself, um, but what it has also done is it's opened up for three other guys, me, JR, and Roger, to fully express ourselves
Mm.
now through words. And you know, it's like anything else. If you look, when I'll use an example from a band years and years ago, you look at Peter Gabriel left Genesis,
Yeah.
and they were this ethereal prog rock type band with these crazy lyrics, and then Phil Collins came, and they became more of a pop act. And not saying we've become more of a pop act, but it's had to have changed because a integral member of the band left. But again, you push on, and to my point earlier, we could have folded. We could have said, you know what, we're not going to write any more songs, and I think we could still go out and
Yeah, absolutely.
luckily still play to people. But we're forever chasing the next best song.
I think that's my favorite band still continue to do that. I mean, we are talking about nostalgia thing earlier. And that, there's a certain amount of it that, yeah, there's certain things in that. And yeah, when we go to see anyone goes to see a gig, you hear a song from your teenage year, or like evoke a memory like you were talking about earlier that you put a kind of emotional stamp on, then yeah, you love hearing those songs. But equally, there's nothing more exciting for me than going to watch a band I love who are still writing great tunes and still pushing them out, and you're wanting to hear them. I think when you go here to see a band live, you want to hear those new tracks. If you're, you want, it's that balancing that you were talking about earlier, I guess, on the other side of the coin. It's not easy to do. I should imagine, you guys are 30 odd years into your career, and I wouldn't want to be trying to write your set list, that's for sure. But I
Yeah,
think
that's a whole other issue. But yeah, it's again, I've been asked the question, not a ton, but a good amount of times since Vinny left the band. It's like, you know, and I've seen bands give the gloss over answer, or, oh, everything's fine. Oh, we just, life moved on. And like, for us, it's not the truth. It was like, whoa, what are we gonna do now? And
I
like,
mean, I guess when an integral person who's writing a lot of the lyrics, like Vinny did within the band, leaves, there's a bit of a learning curve, I guess, again, when you're, all trying to find your feet again into how it now works compared to how it
yeah,
did.
and not to take anything away from what, Vinny definitely brought the ideas. I mean, the whole Hello Rockview thing, that was all his,
Yeah.
you know, for the most part. All the concepts, the Hello Rockview, the artwork, that was his baby. No denying that. But the songwriting has always been what it's been, basically me and Roger getting the melodies together, and we would come up with lyrics.
Yeah.
There'd be Vinny be stuck on things, and we would come up with stuff. So certainly we wrote lyrics over the years, but the shells and the main ideas and inspirations would come from him. But that's also opened up us to push the craft. And man, have I, taken a crash course in lyricism the last 5 years, looking at how people write on this podcast. I'm at, I think, 240, 245 episodes now. So, to be that deep in. I've read through a lot of lyrics and really picked up on things and how people aren't talking in first person, third person, anything through the whole lyrics. You're sitting back going, wow, there's not an I or a we or a there anywhere in this lyrical composition, you know. Things like that that I never thought of before. All these years, never thought of little things like that. So it's really cool.
That's all right. Well, as you say, looking forward and everything. What are the plans for, for you guys for next year? Are you obviously coming over to the UK with Slam Dunk, but what else does the
Well, March 14th and 15th, we're doing our annual Wake and Bake extravaganza in Gainesville, Florida. It's 2 nights, March 14th and 15th. Both nights feature the Suicide Machines and Against All Authority and Less to Jake. And tickets are on sale now and moving quickly. It's going to be awesome. And then after that, what we have planned is the Slam Dunk shows that you mentioned earlier. And aside from that, I know there'll be other things that are coming up. We're kind of quiet at this point for the first 6 months of the year, but then we have a big announcement coming for the summer. So.
No, nice one. We'll look forward to hearing that. Chris, thanks for your time, man. It's been absolutely brilliant chatting to you, my friend.
Thank you. Have a great day. I'll go bask in the sunshine.
Enjoy it, man. At the beginning of the interview, I'm going to play Dead Days over and over from the EP. But what song off the EP would you like us to play at the end of the interview?
Dead Days, and then I don't know. Play Sunny Side.
I'll go with that, man. All right, Chris, thanks again for your time, man. Much
All right.
appreciated.
Thanks, bud. Bye.
Bye, man.